I actually was really excited because I played Final Fantasy XI. Wait, what? People will fight me on this all the time. That's why those devs are fucking trash. We'll do another tier list. You guys want this video? You got this fucking video.
Today, I'm going to tell you all about the history of Final Fantasy XIV. For instance, did you know that Bard LB3 used to be the healer LB3? That's right. When a Bard did LB3, they would raise the entire
Yo, thank you,
party.
Seth, thank you, Hoffman.
Cool. In order to unlock the job, you used to have to level another job to level 15. For instance, to get Black Mage, you would have to get Thaumaturge to level 30 and Archer to level 15. And not only that, but all of these role abilities here, they used to be called Crossclass Abilities, and you would unlock them from leveling up other jobs and getting their skills. For instance, Swiftcast came from Black Mage level 26. So if you were a healer, you had to level Black Mage in order to have Swiftcast raised. Level 26.
I actually like that.
You are one handsome man.
Yo, thank you, Maxim. I actually like that. That's actually kind of cool. Dude, I actually was really excited because I played Final Fantasy XI. No, you'd hate it. No, I want it.
From stone to dust.
I love from stone to dust. I love shit like that. You guys have to understand. I get that shit like that isn't good for a game, and I wouldn't include it in a game if I was making a game now. But I actually do like that stuff. Everybody who's saying you think you do, but you don't. If there's one person that you don't have to tell to critically think about games, it's me. I do like that shit. But I also get to play games all day fucking long, forever. Like, I've been very fortunate. Since I was homeless, literally since I was homeless, all I did, like basically right after I finished being homeless, I switched my major and I was like full game design. So every day, all I did was play video games and study them, right? And then when I wasn't studying video games, I was either studying like different storytelling, like in writing, to get better at making stories for video games, or I was making video games, right? Or I was watching porn. Then, after that, my first job out of school was literally for a game company. And before I got that job, when I was still like in between, when I was about to get my master's in fine arts for video game design, I was making a game. And that was like most of what I was doing. So like, I know what I like in games, and I know how to critically think about games. And I love shit like that in games. For Final Fantasy XIV, when I was going into it, I was really fucking... Can you draw? No. I'm a good sculptor, and like I'm a pretty decent sculptor if you put me in like Maya or shit like that. But I'm pretty bad with Blender. I haven't used like a lot of those skills in a really long time. But yeah, like I'm definitely not an artist in that regard. So yeah, the thing is though, I played Final Fantasy XI. ZBrush stream went, man. I haven't used ZBrush in such a long time. But yeah, I'm not an artist like that. I'm a performance artist, you know? But I played Final Fantasy XI, and I was really excited because I thought that I was going to get to do what you did in Final Fantasy XI, which I never really got to because leveling in that game was so hard. It was like, hey, do you want to kill a crab? Get a party of 87 of your friends, and you'll be able to get 10 XP killing this crab. It was so fucking ridiculous. So I never actually got to it, but I watched my friend's mom play it. I watched Jeff's mom play it all the time. And I always wanted to be like anything plus Dragoon. Like, I thought that was so cool. Because Dragoon in that game actually had a pet dragon that just was a shitty version of yourself, I'm pretty sure. And I was very excited to have like multi-jobs in that game. And then when I got to Final Fantasy XIV, I found out you didn't. I was like a little bit bummed. Obviously, I love the game, but I was really expecting that. What games did you work on? I actually should go through and get some of the games that some of the old games I was working on for like my thesis and stuff like that. I actually made a lot of board games. I really like making board games, and I really like playing board games. Not where the money's at, but all right, let's watch this. Board games? No, not BORED. Yeah, I didn't work on those types of board games until I worked at Blizzard.
And Dragoon had Blood for Blood, but that worked on all the melees, so all the other melees had to level Dragoon to get the damage buff. Provoke was a Paladin ability. You can only get it from Paladin. If you played Warrior, you
I
had to
got
level
banned in
Paladin.
your chat for
or you
typing
didn't have-
copium MSQ. Did I miss something? Or is this just now bannable? Genuinely curious.
I don't think I banned you, but I might have. Yeah, you might have just annoyed me because I was enjoying myself, and then you said that. I don't remember permabanning anybody who said copium, because copium doesn't usually bother me. But yeah, I could have permabanned you, and I'm way too lazy to unpermaban you. Talk to the mods.
Provoke! This video is sponsored by Ragnarok Origin, link in the description below. Welcome to Ragnarok Origin, where the fantasy becomes reality. This epic MMORPG on mobile has begun pre-registration. Enter in a fantasy open world and discover mysterious fun.
This
and
Larry
secrets
guy-
hidden in this magical adventure.
This-
got infinite character.
This
Used to have
Larry
this-
guy actually seems so sarcastic. I don't think he gives a fuck about anything. Like, I don't think he gives, like, a single shit about a single thing. Like, he's literally been making this video, and it's like, he doesn't care, does he? This guy gives so few fucks.
Thing called Cleric Stance. I'm not talking about the old Cleric Stance that would buff your damage.
He's like Donkey mixed with McConnell, mixed with, like, Kafka. This guy's like, insane, man. This guy's cool.
No. I'm talking about old Cleric Stance. The one where you would have to push a button and then swap between heal mode and DPS mode. Let's say I push a button. Okay, I'm in Cleric Stance. Now all of my DPS skills actually do damage, right? But all my heals don't heal. So now if I have to heal somebody, I have to pop Cleric Stance off and then
Yo,
heal
Stylish
them.
Rogue,
And
thank you
this
for the
was
gifted sub.
freaking Great. You can tell people, no, man, I can't heal you right now. I'm in Cleric Stance. Yeah, they should bring that back. I think everybody
Doesn't
would
that
really
exist
like
in WoW for
yeah,
Priest
here's
right
a
now?
fun one. Gear used to have accuracy stats on it, and you would need a minimum accuracy in order to even hit the boss. Yeah, there was a different number for the front,
Belg,
the
thank you
rear,
for the
and
prime.
the side. Yeah, so if you were a tank and you didn't meet the front accuracy requirement, guess what? All your hits miss and you don't keep aggro. Yeah, so you would have to build your entire gear set around making sure you hit accuracy cap. It sucked. And we didn't always look this beautiful and amazing.
People will fight me on this all the time. Hit rating is a good thing for MMORPGs. Hit rating is actually a good thing for MMORPGs. The thing is it's a really good tuning knob. Look, you shouldn't like it. There should be some things in games that you don't like because it makes everything else feel better. Having something in a game that players all hate, but it's very controllable. You just need to make it easy for them to get hit cap. But by the end, what you do, here's the thing. Everybody's freaking out. That's why it's so good. If you have hit rating in a game, it makes players feel like they can't get all of their, like, let's say it's
Yo,
crit and
Rich,
haste
how
as the
come there
stats that they
haven't
want.
been any OTK events lately? Are you guys taking a break?
We're just busy working on some stuff. It's gonna be a mad rush of events very soon, so be excited. But no. Here's the thing. Everybody's freaking out about it and haven't even heard me say what I'm gonna say. You have the smallest brains I've ever seen in the entire world, and that's fine. That's why when you play games, developers shouldn't listen to the players outright. Because you know what? Players should want things that they can't get in the game. Okay. No, Blizzard did listen to players. That's why they're fucking terrible. They didn't listen to the players who were actually saying shit that mattered. Look at it like this. If you, as a consumer, think that you are always right, you are wrong. The only right thing that J. Allen Brack ever said was you think you do, but you don't. You, as a consumer, have a need, and it's supposed to be parsed, not outright blindly followed by the person who makes it. Like, it's just, you're like, straight up, what does a player want when they're leveling in a game? They want to be max level. What happens when you give players a button to push that makes them max level? Like the little rat pushing the cocaine button inside of his little fucking box. What happens when you give them the ability to skip? Oh, what the fuck is this? Where the fuck is this? Oh, what the fuck is this? But no, of course, that's what you want. The game provides you with friction.
So you would be in Shadowbringers one of the stats you can feel the most.
Thank you for the money.
Compared to Crete, which is just more numbers.
Thank you. Guys, I don't need your takes right now. The thing is, the game is supposed to provide friction. If the game doesn't provide friction, it is a meaningless experience. It is a meaningless experience. It is not the player's job to throw friction at themselves. It's not. Pressure is the only thing that matters in a game. Because pressure forces a response, and a response causes a player to show judgment. That judgment shows the player's values in the game and creates values inside of the game. And those values create the character of the player's experience. That's all it is. It's that simple. And if you can't see that, and you're saying bad take, just keep playing games and don't understand what's going on. That's fine. It's not your job to understand what's going on. Yo, Danger, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you. So the thing with hit rating and why hit rating is so good in MMORPGs is because hit rating is a very easy to tune point of friction. In the first part of the game, and the reason why hit rating actually breaks down is because games last so long. But if you have a hit stat, if you have a stat that's like a required stat, it creates a really easy first goal. And that's why it's in most games. It's a very easy to understand first goal as long as the 100% is a clear to get to thing. As you progress through later tiers, you can basically shift all of that stat weight onto one piece and create a best in slot piece that gives all the hit rating that the player requires, which allows them to get more crit and get more haste. The cocaine that they've basically been trying to get, you allow them to get more without creating an additional gear slot. So you've actually increased the amount of rewards that the player can get. They joke about how much they hated the hit rating in the past, and you just created a new reward without oversaturating the amount of gear slots that the people need. And that's why it's actually fucking good. But a lot of you don't understand that, and that's fine. But that's why devs shouldn't listen to you. It's like straight up why devs shouldn't listen to you. Like that's why like the argument that's like, oh, the devs didn't listen to me. Half of the shit that people cried for is in WoW right now. That's why those devs are fucking trash. Because they listened to a bunch of fucking morons who cried really loud. And the people who cry really loud, it's straight cocaine logic. Always. It's always straight cocaine logic. Actual fucking rats in a maze begging for dopamine. It's pathetic. But that's the reason why the game industry exists. You're shitting on Square devs? No, I'm not. I'm saying that that was a good, like, having systems like that is interesting. I didn't shit on the Square devs at all. I think they're good. But the thing is like, watching the history of the game development, I don't know. I obviously know the story from 1.0 to 2.0. And it's a very good story. But, yeah. You need to create a game that players like, not a game that players think that they would like. Because if players created a game that they think that they would like, they'd be like, yeah, there's just a bunch of big titties, I get jerked off all the time, and I get all the gear. And they'd play it for 4 minutes, and then they would get bored and move on. It's about creating friction.
Amazing. Yeah, in the beginning of the game,
How do
we
you
didn't have
explain
glamour.
old school RuneScape when players complain all the time and vote for all the updates they want?
Yeah, we looked like this. You know, a tome chest, hands from a raid, boots from a dungeon. Yeah. This one might actually be the biggest quality of life change. Yeah, in raids, when you wiped, your cooldowns did not reset. So if you...
No, I'm sorry. I know I'm dono walling, but if somebody can't understand the difference, like there's no reason to talk through it. Like there's no reason to talk through it. A new version of a fucking 20-year-old game that has a voting system in it compared to making a new MMORPG. If you can't see the difference between the two things, there's no reason to talk through it because you're just not going to understand.
pulled and somebody hit hollowed ground and they needed it, and then everybody died, you had to wait the 7 minutes for hollowed ground to come back. Your cooldowns resetting sped up prog so much. Oh yeah, and if you died,
Do it, Rich!
you lost
Freshman
your
game
food buff.
design school
Yeah, every
date.
time you died, you had to put your food buff back on. If any group had a bard, which most did, dragoons were required because they would give a piercing debuff to the boss, and that would buff the bard's damage. Also, there used to be 3 bars. We had HP, MP, and TP, and the physical jobs would all work off of TP. And yeah, guess what? Whenever you push sprint, you would use up your entire TB gauge, and you wouldn't be able to attack anymore. Pretty good for casters and healers, though, because they used MP. Oh, yeah, and dying would reduce all of your stats. So the more you died, your health would get lower, too. Which really
Wait,
did not end up
what?
helping your cause, because it just became easier to die then. Overall, tanks had to do a lot more managing with their enmity than they do now. Actually, everybody in the whole party would kind of
Reverse Echo?
especially ninjas. They had an ability where they could give their enmity to the tank, and they actually had an ability where they could reduce some.
Wait. How much did the reversed echo? How like long could it stack?
Do it, Rich!
That RuneScape comparison was actually terrible, because the devs provide what you can vote for, so it's still passing through what they want.
15 to 30, 25 to 50%. How many did you get? You'd only get 2. Oh, okay. So it was just 25 and 50. Dying before was really bad. Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I think is really interesting about Final Fantasy is how much you can fucking res. It's obviously pretty taxing, especially to the healers. And you're going to lose a lot of damage doing it and all that, but that is very different than other MMOs. It's pretty cool.
Somebody else's enmity, including the tank. And of course, asking the black mage to make sure they did quelling strikes before they used all their explosions, that was very common. Otherwise, the boss would go whoop and kill the black mage. You know, melees still cry about positionals now, but back in the day, if you missed a positional, you broke your combo. Dots wouldn't happen, the buffs wouldn't happen if you didn't get the positional. Yeah, it was way worse. Your whole rotation would be messed up. So this is pretty cool. Titan Eggy used to be able to be a tank. Yeah, it made a lot more sense. And he had a health bar. They don't have health bars anymore. In fact, there was a whole strat surrounding that. This fight was way too hard for the tanks at the time, so we would just bring Titan Eggy, and Titan Eggy would tank remove. Reason being is he didn't have to do the tank mechanics. But yeah, Square Enix did not like that, so they nerfed Titan.
Was it that good? I remember back in the day, Warlock tanking all the time. It was game-breakingly good. There's something about mage tanking that, like,
Hey Rich, I
if
need
handled
a
the right
friend
way,
/ mentor.
it's like one of those things where if you feel like you're sorry, that was a little bit. I wanted to make sure I didn't get logged out. If it's not a completely oppressive strat, mage tanking and range tanking in general is always just such a cool moment in a game. But I have no idea how this one actually worked. But Warlock tanking like went way too far by like the end of Wrath of the Lich King, right? It was so easy to do. It was like you literally just had the pet sit there. It wasn't like a skillful thing at all. I guess it was on was it Obsidian Sanctum? Is that what it was called? Obsidian Sanctum? Obsidian Sanctum? That was the easiest fight to Warlock tank. Locks tanked in AQ40. I actually don't have that much AQ40 experience. Yeah, I actually really don't. I don't have that much AQ40 experience. And in Classic WoW, I had already moved on. I didn't really feel like playing the game at that point. So I didn't do it in this version of Classic WoW. When I was a kid, I was a kid. Ruby Sanctum was the last one. Did Ruby Sanctum have lock tanking again? I don't remember. I like server first killed Ruby Sanctum, and I definitely didn't Warlock tank that. There's no way I would forget having the Warlock tank. Did Ruby Sanctum have it? My server was trash by then. It was not hard to server first kill it. Yeah, Ruby was fucking easy. Like, I remember we went in and we like fucking... We blasted. I remember it was like one of the first times that we like raided off schedule in a really long time. And the group was like really breaking apart. Like the raid group was breaking apart. And we still fucking just destroyed it. Cody, I was on Nath at the time. I was on Nathrazim, which had really fallen apart. Like, I think like, so I was in Warloots for a while, and then Warloots left and went to Scylla, and then I stayed on Nath. Have you played any Genshin? I actually haven't played Genshin instantly. Poo-poo server. Yeah, by the end, it was really poo-poo pee-pee doo-doo.
Eggy after that. Something about wanting the tanks to be able to play the game. I mean, summoners back then were even able to solo extreme fights because of Titan. So yeah, don't worry, Titan Eggy. I'm sure someday you'll do something good again. So you know how with Scholar, they have
I never
two
noticed that
fairies,
the
Eos and
Titan,
Selene,
because I
and you
never
might be
summoned it.
wondering
I didn't
what's the
realize it had a
difference.
haircut.
Right now, there's not a difference, but there used to be a big one. So Eos used to be the healer-focused fairy. It did a lot of AoE regens and buffs. But Selene, on the other hand, was the DPS fairy, specifically because it gave everybody haste. Yeah, Selene was the best. Especially for black mages. We freaking love Selene. Yeah, but she doesn't do that anymore, so bye. You used to be able to assign points
Rich,
to your
you
attributes.
are a sexy
so like
man.
you would put 30
What's your secret?
points into strength or 30 points into intelligence, right? So if you wanted to be able to play both Scholar and Summoner, whenever you swapped, you need to buy this item that would reset your stat allocation points between Mind and Intelligence. Yeah, back in the day, you couldn't actually just queue up for raids in the Duty Finder. You had to go to where the raid was physically located with your whole party of 8 people physically here and queue up at the location. Yeah, and this meant that all of the raiders on the server would be here during raid night. You know, reset would happen. There would be people sitting here waiting for their raid to start, or there'd be people over here jumping up and down naked asking for a raid group, you know? It was simple.
Shared space like that is super good in MMORPGs. It's just like the world eventually gets too big. Like, if you make if a new MMORPG, yo, Future Wolf, thank you very much for the 2 months. Like, Final Fantasy is a very interesting game because it's like, it's so teleport balanced.
Unrelated, but in Heavens would Chocobos counted as a party member, and I have a friend that played back then. He told me how he would summon his Chocobo during world bosses to avoid inviting PLL that he didn't liked. Good times.
Dude, good old griefing with a cock. The thing is though, with Final Fantasy, they actually did a really fucking good job of creating shared space, even though in the game you just teleport everywhere. That's why, like, housing works really well. Limps is still pretty good. Like, they do a really good job at still making it feel like you're going to see people out in the world. And there are many more things that you can do when you're out in the world to actually interact with other players. Like, there are more emotes in the game than there are store mounts in World of Warcraft, which is a very fucking hard thing to do. Not very often that you can outpace Bobby Kodak's helicopter fun. There's also, you know, the fact that bards are able to do all these different things. So there are a lot of shared spaces that still make it feel like it is an MMORPG. But when you look back, even on like World of Warcraft at the beginning, when the world was much smaller, and you had these different things like basically like public transportation, for example, that would bring people together, and the shared space in the cities, like all of these things were really good. And actually going to dungeons, like the things that would happen around Scarlet Monastery, the runs that you needed to go on there. Suglinator, thank you very much for the Prime. If a new MMORPG ever came out, I think it would be very hard to instantly recreate what Final Fantasy has now. And I think that the shared space experience and actually having environments mean something and having running mean something is a good thing. But also, you are never going to get a younger audience if you do it, because a younger audience doesn't really appreciate running around an environment anymore, because now at this point they've just been so overexposed to it that they just want to instantly get whatever experience that they're getting into. And it, I mean, that's just life, right? Convenience destroys everything. Asma was actually talking in his stream the other night, like last night. He was talking about how he would never get like McDonald's like delivered to his place, right? And the thing is it's like, I get food delivered all the time to my place, right? And the reason why I get food delivered all the time to my place is so I can keep streaming, right? Now, if I got food delivered to my place all the time and I wasn't streaming, I could do it, right? It's not about necessarily the money. Is it wasteful? Yes. Here's the thing. Is delivery wasteful because it's expensive, right? Like, you can talk about that, right? But a lot of people, you know, when they have their job and they're making a certain amount an hour.
Final Fantasy XIV is such an amazing game. I met this cat girl 7 years ago and we got married in game and real life. Our relationship is going pretty well, but I'm still trying to get used to deck though.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Do it, Rich!
Convenience is a Pandora's box when it comes to MMOs. Once they opened it and gave the industry a taste of high-efficiency call, they gave up the ability to implement immersive or social delay without sacrificing most of the market, especially new players.
That's a really good take. But I do think that luckily we're in a world right now where you're not cucked by the need for a publisher. You're not cucked by distribution. You're not cucked by production. It's still kind of hard for MMOs, but I think it's one of the reasons that we're really starting to get to a renaissance. Because the one thing that's like undeniable is like, look at, now it doesn't matter where you stand on this. This is just an example. In World of Warcraft, you get like that like state of nature moment that happens so many times. Once you give the player something, you can't take it away, right? Look at Transmog. When Transmog wasn't in the game, there was a huge carrot on the, even if you like Transmog, I think you'll agree with me here. If Transmog isn't in the game, there is a huge pool for players to come back to try to unlock a particular gear set and look the coolest that they possibly can. When Transmog doesn't exist in the game, there is a better reward there that is constantly refreshed that will get players to log back in. I would get FOMO all of the time. I would take like a small break after a raid tier, and then on Wowhead or MMO Champion, I would see the new set and I'd be like, I need to fucking get it. And it gave a new reward. Now, whether or not that reward is worth it, that's a totally fine discussion, right? But once you give players Transmog, you can't take it away. You can't go like, oh, we don't like how Transmog works, we're going to take it away from players. People would freak the fuck out. Now they've also invested time into getting it, like all these different things. After you do certain things in a game, you cannot take them away. it does permanently change the game forever. That happens in real life too. Now, does Transmog add a lot of really good things? Yes. Does it also add a lot of really bad things into the game? Yes. I think that Transmog is one of the most interesting things in World of Warcraft because I do think that it hurt the raiding scene in a lot of ways, but I also think that it's one of the best play styles for a lot of different players in the game. And that's why it's interesting. That's why games are really tough to make. What's bad about Transmog? What's bad about... There are a lot of players... You would be surprised, and when you actually look at like motivations for a lot of players, what they wanted to... I'm not going to go into the actual numbers of it right now. I could. It would take fucking forever. But there were actually a lot of players that would come back every tier and want to raid at the highest level just because they wanted to be wearing the best set. It wasn't like... I'm not saying that Transmog shouldn't be in the game, but you have to understand... Like, you can end up on any side of the debate, but this is like a fact. Transmog took a goal out of the game, right? Whether that was the right decision or the wrong decision, that's totally up to a developer to decide. But it took a goal out of the game factually, and it created a new goal. And it's a very tough thing to balance when you like look at a system like that because it is a permanent change to the game. Collecting is one of the primary ways that World of Warcraft is played now. Was that the right decision for the game long term? And it's very hard to make those decisions for an MMORPG on the fly. And when you look at like future MMORPGs, a lot of these ideas when it comes to ease of access, when it comes to the pace of the game, all these things, it used to be genre wide. Like World of Warcraft's decisions would completely determine what else could happen. What the fuck? I thought Transmog's like glamour. It is. I'm talking about a particular instance that happened in World of Warcraft and how big one of those decisions could actually not only affect World of Warcraft, but affect the entire genre, right? World of Warcraft, the decisions that were made in World of Warcraft would impact the entire genre of MMORPGs. And one of the reasons that it would affect the entire genre of MMORPGs was because to make an MMORPG, you needed to rely on huge amounts of development dollars. You needed a huge team of people to make a world that was so big. You needed that distribution, all of these things. Now the world's changed. Look, I'm literally sitting here. I'm some fucking idiot with a webcam, and I can talk to 10,000 people right now. When I was born, if I wanted to reach this many people, I would have needed a crew of people that would probably be like over 40 people, a shitload of investment that an individual would never be able to have to reach this many people and talk to them. And that wouldn't have even been on the internet, right? We still would have been on dial-up.
Do it, Rich!
Collecting focus is why WoW has 4,000 reskins and recolors of the same mounts and gear and no dice system.
That is one of the stupidest takes I've heard today. Congratulations. That is actually such a stupid, pointless take. Like, it's not even worth going back, but congratulations. We'll remember that. Okay. The thing is, distribution changed, right? How old do you have to be to stream on Twitch? Yo, Sima, and you beat me. Thank you, guys. How old do you have to be to stream on Twitch? 13. A 13-year-old could get a webcam and have 20,000 viewers. That is fucking wild. Distribution changed. And it's also changed in video games, right? I mean, look at Valheim. Valheim was not made by a AAA studio. Tommy Innit has 130K. I mean, look at Tommy Innit, right? And why does Tommy Innit have so many viewers? I actually do think that Tommy Innit's a genuinely entertaining human being. Like, I think he is really funny. not all of his humor and not all of his content's really made for me, right? Like I'm almost 30, you know, but I objectively can like, dude, if you watch The Wiggles, you're like, yeah, I get kids will like this, right? Tommy Innit is like, he is speaking to a generation that consumes this type of content much regularly. And that's why Tommy Innit has such a large audience, right? And he's able to reach that audience. I think Tommy Innett's a fantastic content creator. I think he'll be a fantastic content creator for years and years to come. He's a very good streamer. He's a very good streamer. I would go as far as to say he's one of the best streamers. It's not
Really
random
like the
that he has
streams,
those
keep
numbers.
it up.
Yeah, thank you, the boredom. Thank you. And it's cool to see that, right? What Tommy Innit does and what I do are so fucking different. But there are audiences all over the place that you can tap now. And I think that now happening in video games.
Rich, you're so handsome and lovely. Your moustache puts everyone to shame and is better than the pizza man in the films I found under my dad's bed. Any girl would want you. Okay, now just take this part out and send it to me so I look cool, thanks man.
Yeah, check your PayPal, check your PayPal. So, the thing with games is that there's straight up, there are easier ways to distribute. There are easier ways to get into everybody's house. And because of that, you can actually make a game that's built for a smaller audience that will love it. The game will be supported if everything goes right. I mean, a lot of these games will still fail. And you can kind of create those experiences that people want. And I think that we're really entering an age for MMORPGs where World of Warcraft, and this isn't World of Warcraft's fault, but World of Warcraft's influence has finally dwindled, and these games can breathe again. You don't need to be completely cucked by AAA companies to release a game. And I think that really good, very specific MMORPGs are going to be coming out. And that is a really good feeling, because it felt like MMORPGs were going to die, because it just felt like the monetization was always going to outpace the art. It really did feel like that. And I feel like we're finally at a time where that's not true. I mean, just even look at like streamers, right? I mean, look, I'm very, very fortunate. Like, I am very fucking lucky to have what I have. I mean, I've obviously only been doing it, like, been streaming for like 2 months, right? But I've been very fortunate to like be in the spot where, you know, in a month, I probably made more than I ever made in like a fucking year of my life. Like, it's fucking insane. And I'm not that big of a streamer. You know what I mean? The thing is, you can reach people who actually care about your content and are willing to support your content now. And now think about it, you know, like maybe 10,000 people
I
watch
love your
me.
views on everything. You're a very worldly person. I genuinely enjoy you and what you do. Keep being you, boo. Less than 3.
Thank you. Thank you. Now for a game.
Love your content. Has
Thank you.
Tom Selleck DMCA'd that mustache yet?
He's my father. The thing is when you
Do it, Rich!
Thank you from all of us here at the Charity Foundation for all of your fantastic contributions and insight. You truly are a remarkable human being and are not bald.
donation sent to me from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So the thing is, okay, yeah, maybe I am a big streamer now. It's still fucking weird to me. Yeah, I guess to me, I still feel like I'm not a big streamer, right? Because I've only been doing it for 2 months, so it doesn't really feel real, you know?
Why does your closet door keep opening and closing?
Stop that shit. But what I'm saying is, like, look, there's like a community here of people who support me because they love this type of content, right? We're like like-minded individuals that found a group on the internet. And look, I'm not like a cable network. But if I was a cable network, what would I need to do? I would need to try to create mass appeal to get more people in. I have never turned on my stream and said, today I want to do something that's going to get me new viewers who haven't watched my stream yet. I log onto my stream every day and I go, what would the people who watched my stream yesterday want to see tomorrow? You see what I mean? That is the difference of thought. The difference of thought, the luxury that I get to have because of new distribution is, how do I make a better stream for the people who are already watching my stream? When you're in the AAA mindset, and this is the mindset, so you're telling us that you're going to get naked? See? Huh? So the thing is when you look at AAA, they don't have that luxury because they have to pay thousands of employees or they're going to let them go. They have to get this game out to more and more people to pay these giant costs. And you have CEOs taking millions and millions of dollars and all these different things. And it's this giant fucking monster. And because of that, you have to create an experience for people who aren't playing the game currently. Does that make sense? I know this is a nuanced thing. But because distribution's changed, we're going to get a wave of really good MMORPGs because Final Fantasy has proven, it's proven that like a game, even if it's been out for a while, can still attract new players, for example.
8
if
months.
It's a good game.
Love you, Rich.
Obviously, it was already a successful game,
when?
but it was already a successful game. Yo, Hate Weapon, thank you very much for 9 months of Prime. Thank you. Also, keep in mind, I think there are a lot of things that probably to a lot of companies, they're going to be taking streamers a lot more seriously. Think about it like this. Asmon and I did a sponsored stream for Old School RuneScape, right? Sponsored stream for Old School RuneScape. After we did that sponsored stream for Old School RuneScape had its top player numbers of all time. Asmon switches to Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy can't even create enough digital codes to... Yeah, Asmon and I did an Allcraft episode for Final Fantasy, and it was sponsored. And it was like the biggest win-win of our lives, you know? Because we wanted to play Old School RuneScape, right? I played Old School RuneScape when I was a kid. I kept telling Asmon we should do something with it. And all of a sudden we get like this like absolute crazy opportunity. And we got to do a sponsored stream with Old School RuneScape. And it was like one of the best episodes of Allcraft I think we've ever had. But yo, Lady Melora, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you very much for 22,993 subs. Thank you. Thank you guys. Yeah, it was a crazy cool stream, but on the back of that, Old School RuneScape had some of its biggest player numbers of all time. There's an article that literally said Old School RuneScape top player numbers of all time. Asmon switches to also, by the way, that's all Asmon, right? That's not me. It's all Asmon. But I was lucky enough to get to be there for that. And it was a really fun day. Yo, Wary, thank you very, very much for the Prime. Thank you. And there were a bunch of other things that were going on too. Like, I think that they had just like released a bunch of stuff with mobile. They had a new league. Shroud also played it. It's like, it's not just him, but a lot of it, you know, was him. And don't doubt yourself. I mean, I'm not doubting myself. Like, I was involved in the Final Fantasy wave more so than I was in the Old School RuneScape wave. The only thing that I really did for the Old School RuneScape wave was set it up. You know what I mean? But with Final Fantasy, yeah, dude, Trailblazer was huge. Yeah, it's like that. What Asmon and I did. Dude, Samuel Darksbane, thank you very much for the 6 gifted subs. Thank you guys very much for keeping us at 23,000. Trying to get back to 25,000 by the end of the month. If we do, we're gonna do a big IRL stream. Yo, Absy, thank you very much for the 2 months, yo. But you look at Final Fantasy and you look at the streamers going to play it, one of the best ways to reach
It's
audiences
time,
now.
Rich, to be a Sprout Necromancer with me and maybe Asman. Tongue.
Sprout Necromancer is actually so badass. That is actually such a badass achievement. Dude, also, dude, thank you for the $69.69. Your name was a little long, so it did keep your name up there. Diamonds, thank you very much, man. Thank you. Thank you for the top donation of the day. Nice. But I think that there will be a way where developers, instead of spending money on bullshit distribution that climbs up the chain to CEOs who take the king's share of it, who did have a place in the past, right? Like, Bobby Kotick is very good at his job. There's no denying that. But that takes a lot of money, and he made a lot of money. But now, instead of doing that, these devs can make very niche games, and they can go to the streamers that actually have audiences of that niche. And then in a lot of ways, it's DTC, but on these distribution platforms, it's not, you can have like an organic growth of that DTC, right? Like you can look at something like Steam, you can look at something like Amazon, and you go, okay, if we go to a streamer, and now the streamer plays the game, and the streamer likes the game, and its audience loves the game, it will organically grow on the distribution platform, which just takes a flat percentage instead of us having to go to a publisher and selling our souls. Because there's so many of these games that died by selling their souls. I don't know if you guys remember the game Go Gigantic. But yeah, like YouTubers and streamers are like, sponsored streams are actually a good thing for everybody as long as the streamer actually takes time to play the game beforehand to make sure it's like not absolute dog shit. I've played bad games on stream.
Shut up, Rich. I am trying to enjoy this delicious chorizo breakfast burrito and some Cap'n Crunch, now with 25% more spider eggs. And you keep talking about business, and frankly I don't think you know what you're talking about. Fired 7 times BTW.
True. I've played bad games on stream for sponsored streams, and I was just like, shit, you know what? I'm worried now because I played that. People aren't going to realize, like, when I play a good one, that it might actually be worth trying. I think there is a give and take. But you can't go into, like, you can't go into a sponsored stream and be like, hey, guys, I'm doing this one for, like, this particular one for the money. I'm really only doing this one for the money. Like, you can't do that. The contract doesn't say that. Miz does that. You can. You're really not supposed to. But there are some times that you do a sponsored stream and it's not just for the money, right? Miz does that with every single one. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I can figure that out. Raid Shadow Legends, dude. I play Raid Shadow Legends all the time. All right, but let's finish this video and then get into the main story quest. That was fun to talk about.
Simple times, very simple times. And this would change depending on the tier. Like, this is where second coil was, and right over this way, this is where the final coil was. You see this entrance right here? This is where everybody would be. Oh yeah, and by the way, cross world party finder was not a thing. You could only raid with the people that were on your server. So again, that's why all the raiders were here on raid night, and if you weren't here on raid night, you couldn't raid. But I mean, now we have a full party finder, and you're gonna be able to find a raid no matter what time of day. So ultimately, it's better for the game that way. You know how all of our raids nowadays are called Savage? It'll say Savage difficulty, and that's the end game raid. Well, back in A Realm Reborn, the coils were Savage. They just didn't have that naming convention yet. These were the end game raid.
Were they ratchet or bougie?
A second coil Savage, these were super hard. Their whole idea of making these was how mean can we be? And in these older raids, since they have trash mobs in between the entrance and the boss, you would have somebody join a party earlier on in the week to go in and clear the trash, and that would get you a shortcut.
Fuck,
so that
I just
way,
got
when
logged
you
out.
did have raid time during that week, you use the shortcut and start attacking the boss right away. We don't have to do that anymore because now raids are just, you know, you queue in, you're at the boss. And it's unfortunate, but like these older raids, like Coil especially, you can never fight it like how it used to be. Even with minimum item level on and no echo, the fight is nerfed from its original state. They don't do this anymore, but they did at the time. Every patch after a raid would come out, they would nerf the previous tier. For instance, in this fight,
This fight, I'm excited to hear what he says. This fight is really fucking cool, and pretty hard. Like this fight in particular, I was like, man, this is like one of the coolest designed fights. But also, it was harder. I believe it was. The thing with this fight though, when you play it, you can really feel the age of Final Fantasy. You can feel like the age of when this fight was made. Like this fight is I would love to see this fight essentially remade by how the team does stuff now. Like this fight is so good, but could use like fresh, like this what's it called? A Remua? Renaud? The Renaud like is so janky with how it works now. Remade coils would be sick. Maybe it would be, but I'm just saying this fight in general, like a lot of the mechanics are really fucking good, and I would love to see them again.
A Renaud, if it hit you, you
Renaud.
would die. One shot, you're dead. And then all of the petrification mechanics in this fight, if you petrified your teammate or somebody else petrified you and you got hit by anything while you were petrified, no matter how much damage it did, you died. Another really cool thing with this fight was that you needed to get a kiter. You see this tether going from me
AC,
to
thanks for
Renaud.
2 months.
You needed a specific person in the raid team to do this job, and it would usually be a summoner. So the party finders would always be like, need summoner, need a kiter, because the kiter would bring the Renaud over here and they would slow it down with their dot, and then the healers would freeze it in place. And you would do that with 4 Reynauds, and eventually they just wouldn't spawn anymore.
4 Reynauds? That's boggers.
In the Savage version of Turn 7, the Reynauds keep coming, and there's 2 of them at a time. Yeah, the way that they designed Turn 7 Savage was they looked at how we did strats and how we cheese things, and then made it impossible for us to cheese it anymore. Now, in Turn 2, there was this really funny strat. Because Allegan Rot was too hard and nobody wanted to do it, that's the debuff that you gotta pass around, otherwise you explode. What you would do instead was wait for the enrage timer, 12 minutes, and you would bring in 3 healers, and you would pull ADS just as it enraged, and then you would just heal through all the damage that it did instead. See, charge complete in 10 clicks, gotta wait for 0 clicks. 10 more minutes, 10 more minutes. Oh, there it is. Charge complete. Now we pull, it's enraged. Yep, this was much easier to deal with than doing Rot. He just keeps doing this AoE over and over and over again. But you would need 3 healers spam healing you over and over to live. Also, Mordona in general didn't always look like this.
Dude.
Yep, there used to be a big tree here. Not sure why they took
Who
that
played
out.
back then?
Everybody would stand up here. You would show off your really cool gear by standing right here. Or maybe even a mount, right? You're like, oh, I earned this really awesome mount. Oh, that actually kind of worked out. And you just sit right here with it and show everybody. But actually, the greatest part about Mordona was this secret little glitch over here. You could do this, bada bing, bada boom, jump up here, jump over this way, crap, go over here, jump across that, jump onto this rope, and look, now I'm on this rope. See, isn't this nice?
Man, that's cool as fuck.
It's really cool. Great view up here, but it's not that special anymore because we can just fly. So yeah, and yeah, that's it. Actually, there's probably a lot of different things I could go on about the history of Final Fantasy XIV.
OG jump puzzle.
Another time, but for now, that's.
Thank you, Larry. Thanks, Larry.